Hello everyone, welcome to the Arthur Conan Doyle Center YouTube channel. My name is Kat and I will do a tarot reading for you today. So today's topic that we will do a reading about is lunar messages. I thought it's quite a nice topic to do as we just had a full moon recently, but you can watch this video anytime, whenever you feel like it. So the reason why I'm doing lunar messages is because in astrology, the moon is quite an important, well, we call it a planet in astrology. So in astrology, the moon is all about our feelings, our emotions. It's about our subconsciousness, our dreams, things that come to us intuitively and things that almost like a second nature to us. So I thought with this reading we can look at what the moon has for you. So any sort of messages, whether it is about your dreams, whether it's about your emotions, any sort of advice. And yes, we'll see how it goes. So just a little bit more about the moon in astrology. So as I mentioned, it is about emotions, feelings, our subconsciousness, and it is ruling the sign of Cancer. So when the moon is in Cancer, it's in a very strong position. So Cancer as a sign, it is all about our home, our family. It is also about our roots, where do we come from, our tribe, and the feelings of security, feelings that make you feel secure. So for example, when you're at home, you know that this is your base, this is your safe space. So this is what the Cancer is talking about. It can also talk about the mother figure, somebody who is nurturing us, somebody who provides all of that nourishment. So with that in mind, we will see what sort of messages the moon has for all of you. And as usual, we have 4 groups. So we have group number 1 with Labradorite, and it's a really nice crystal. I don't know if you can see it. It has some beautiful shine to it. It really reflects light beautifully. I hope you can see it because it's a bit difficult to see in the camera if it's reflecting properly or not. But that's group 1. Then group 2, it's this crystal tower. I'm not really sure what crystal it is. I think it's unakite or some sort of granite. But basically the idea with crystal towers is to gather energy and point it in one specific way. So if you feel drawn to that, this is group 2. For group 3, we have Anandalite. So it is also a really beautiful crystal. It reflects light really nicely. It is all about light and just feelings of this bliss, universal bliss with Anandalite. And then group 4, we have Rhodochrosite. This one is a raw one, it's not polished, but it has a really wonderful energy. I don't know if you can, sometimes when you put it to light, you can really see the pink in it. And this one, it's all about the heart and healing our heart in any difficult situations that we have gone through. So this is group 4. So pick whichever group you feel is right for you. You can stop this video, you can meditate on all the crystals and feel whichever one speaks out to you, whichever one calls out to you. And then, yes, we will start with group number 1. So I will put it here. So if you chose the Labradorite, this is your reading. So we are looking at lunar messages and the messages from the moon that we need to hear. So the decks I will be using today, I will show you the new one that I have. It's called the Tarot of Mystical Moments. If you can see it, it's really pretty. It has really beautiful images, so I really hope it will help us understand the messages. And then I will also use the Moonology deck. So it's this one. And of course, I mean Moonology, we're doing lunar messages, so I had to use this deck. Another one, I will use the Wisdom of the Oracle by Colette Baron Reid. It's also a really nice oracle deck. And then just 2 tarot decks, the classic Rider-Waite and then the Ethereal Visions. It has lots of gold, so why not? Okay, so let's start. So this is group 1, so let's see what sort of lunar messages are there for you. I think I'll just pick one card from each tarot deck and then we will see where it takes us. Okay. So that's one of the decks. Then let's do the Oracle deck. Okay, then the Moonology. Just one card each, and then if I need clarification, I can always draw extra cards. Okay, and then one of the tarot decks. Oh, okay, this one fell out, so I'll keep this one. And then one more. Let's take this one. Okay, so let me just readjust this for the camera. Okay, I think this way will work very nicely. Alright, so let's see, what do we have? We have the Page of Wands. We have the Never-Ending Story. So I don't read these ones in reverse, so that's why I just flipped it around. Then we have Full Moon in Sagittarius. Look at the bigger picture. I'm already starting to see what's happening here. Then we have the King of Wands, okay? And we have the Queen of Swords in reverse. So with the tarot cards, I would read in reverse, but if it's oracle cards, I would just keep them upright. Okay, so group 1, these are the lunar messages for you. So the first thing that jumped out to me was this, the Page of Wands, and then the Full Moon in Sagittarius. Look at the bigger picture. And I can actually show you this. So it just made me think of that of that Page of Wands with the magnifying glass. So here, it's the first message that I get is to really zoom out in a way, because with this Page of Wands, the Page of Wands usually talks about somebody who is still quite young, somebody who's quite inexperienced, because the page would be at the bottom of the hierarchy. So first we would have the page, then the knight, then the queen, and then the king. So page, it's somebody who is still a bit inexperienced, somebody who is eager to learn, somebody who's eager to explore. And this is it with the Page of Wands, somebody who has a lot of energy, somebody who has a lot of enthusiasm. But with that magnifying glass, it might be that you can be focusing too much just on one detail. So if I would take this magnifying glass and we would focus just on one area, we start to lose perspective on things. We are so focused on one area that we forget that there is more, that there is a bigger picture happening here. So with this full moon in Sagittarius, look at the bigger picture. To me, the message from the moon is saying, zoom out and make sure you don't just pick on one tiny thing. It makes me think of Gemini energy. Sometimes Gemini can really focus too much on details, and it's focusing on details just for the sake of focusing on details. So it's, instead of connecting the dots, it's just collecting all of the messages that don't really lead anywhere. And I feel like this is why we have the never-ending story card here, because we focus on just one small area. We can't move forward, so we keep repeating the same thing over and over and over. It's as if being stuck in one spot and we are just turning around. And yes, we are moving. We do feel like, oh, maybe I am getting somewhere because I feel a bit dizzy. It means I have to be moving somewhere. But in reality, we're just staying in the same spot. So here it is about recognizing any patterns that keep us stuck in one place, and patterns that do not allow us to move free. So here it's interesting that we have a few birds on this card. So instead of staying in one place, it is about flying somewhere, maybe flying up and then seeing things from a bird's eye view. And then perhaps you will be able to see that there is a bigger pattern, there's something more happening. Also, in terms of Sagittarius, it is a sign that has to do with far travel. It has to do with expansion, philosophy, religion, law, higher education. So I do see it as a message to see more, to move beyond. So instead of sitting here on this hourglass, instead of just thinking, oh no, I can only stay here, it is about flying away, because you have the wings, you can fly away. But maybe you feel like, okay, this is the only place where I can be. So that is the first message, really zooming out and freeing yourself from all the details, so you don't have to just fixate on one tiny thing. And you can see that you are a part of something bigger, or your experience is a part of something much bigger. And then once you zoom out, you will be able to see what the next steps are. And it's interesting that we also have the King of Wands. So I see it as a journey from the Page of Wands, from the lowest, from the most inexperienced stage to being a king. So in this way, you will be able to really progress, to go from somebody who just started something, maybe just starting something as a hobby, feeling like, yeah, I'm interested in it, but maybe I will just keep doing the same thing because that makes me feel safe. And then by zooming out, you will be able to have all of the steps, to move through all of them, and then eventually become a king, somebody who is a leader, somebody who is very inspiring, somebody who's very charismatic. And somebody with a very warm personality, because we have Wands, and then Sagittarius. This is all fire element. So somebody who has a vision, who's future oriented, who acts, who does things. So it's not just about thinking or daydreaming. It's somebody who actually goes for it. Anything else I have here? It's interesting with that Queen of Swords in reverse. So I feel like this is something that could keep you stuck in this energy of focusing on details. So with the Queen of Swords, because it's in reverse, it can talk about being very self-critical, being a perfectionist. So you want to move on from one specific step until you have done it perfectly, until it's 100% complete. And this might be why that you keep using a stronger magnifying glass and stronger and stronger and stronger to finish just that one tiny detail, and you're like, okay, once I finish it, this is it, I will move on. But there's always something else, and this is what keeps you in place. So this Queen of Swords, it can be a side of yourself, or it can be another person who can be very critical, somebody who says this is not good enough, you have to do it again, you have to rework it. But it could be something within your mind, something that is very very harsh. Because here with the Queen of Swords, she can use that sword to cut through any confusion and to use the mind logically. Or you can use that sword to really hurt yourself and keep finding faults with things or with people, and then we have a never-ending story, because maybe you wanted to do something well, but you just focus on it too much, then you lose your energy because you don't feel like you're progressing, and then you start something new, and then again you get stuck on the details, and then you get discouraged. So here, the message from the moon is to zoom out and to really allow yourself to listen to your enthusiasm and your energy. So it's not about who can make the most perfect project or the most perfect thing. It's about whether you're enjoying it or not. And once you enjoy it, you can move forward, and on each step you can improve. You don't have to improve everything at once. So I want to check how to work with this Queen of Swords, because it's quite a strong energy, and I feel like it can really, the sort of self-criticism can really keep you away from becoming this King of Wands. So let's see, just one card, how to deal with this Queen of Swords, how to free yourself. And it's interesting that we have the bird here flying, and then we have more birds here. So it makes me think of, if somebody had wings, they would say, oh no, these wings are still not good enough. I still need to have more feathers. I still have to strengthen them a bit. And then once I've strengthened them, then I have to practice so much before I fly properly. And while you're doing that, other people are already flying. So it's overthinking. It's being really critical towards yourself. So let's see, how can you move away from that Queen of Swords and really connect to this fire element. Okay, here. Okay, so we have the Two of Swords. I'll put it in the middle here. So again, this is a card of thinking, overthinking, a card of making decisions. And again, we have more birds, which is really interesting. So here with the Two of Swords, I feel like you have to make a decision. You really have to decide which way to go. Because you can't go in two ways at once. You just can't. You can't split yourself. And here, I feel like it might give you some anxiety, because every time when I look at these birds, I know they are not woodpeckers, but it's almost as if they would be, you know, hitting on that wood, and it's like something in your mind. You constantly hear the noise and you cannot focus, so you lose your way. So here with this card, I'd say deciding which way to go. It's just like with this bow and arrow, you cannot shoot an arrow in two different directions. You really have to commit to one thing, to one goal, just one aim, and then you will be able to reach it. So there is a decision to be made in your situation. And again, look, we have the moon here. So I feel like the moon is saying you have to make a decision. And now what just came to me is you won't miss out. Because when I think of the moon is cyclical. So it takes 28 days to go through the whole cycle. So even if you feel like, okay, this is it, I will never have this opportunity, it will come to you again. But the more you hold on to two things, you can't do them properly. You just don't have enough time. You don't have all the energy to invest it properly into two elements. So in this context, it is all about choosing one thing, one element, one way to go, and then zooming out so that you can reach that King of Wands status. And let's just get one more card from this deck, just any final advice for you. Okay, let's pick this one. Exactly. Oh gosh, it is the same energy. So this one is the Seven of Cups, and it's so interesting because the Seven of Cups, it is about choices. It is about having all these different things, but here instead of two we have seven. But I feel like this card is saying to me, think about which choices are just an illusion and which choices are a realistic option. Because it might be really easy just to point at the stars in the sky and say, oh, I want this one, I want that one, I want that one. But is it actually possible to go for it? Is it possible to reach that goal? So keeping realistic, realizing that some ideas are just good ideas, but it's difficult to translate them into material reality. And then once you remove any confusion, you know what the reality is, you will be able to move on. Because now that I think of it, maybe you look at each of the choices and you keep inspecting them and think, oh, if I go this way, then this would happen. If I do this, then this would happen. And you just keep focusing on each of them. And it's like, okay, if I choose this one, if I choose that one, if I choose that one. And you spend your energy and time thinking about what to do, but you're not doing anything. So just zooming out, thinking, okay, in 5 years' time, what would I like to happen? Where would this choice take me? And then actually choosing one, committing to one of them and going for it. Okay, so I think this is it for you, Group 1. I hope you enjoyed the reading. If you did, please like this video, subscribe so you can be informed about our new readings. And I wish you all the best. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye! Hello Group 2, if you chose this crystal tower, this is your reading. So in this reading we will look at the lunar messages. So messages from the moon, anything that comes over and any sort of advice I can give you. So let's start the reading. I will pull one card from each of the decks. If you're interested in what decks I'm using, I mentioned them at the beginning of Group 1. So you're more than welcome to just rewind a bit and then check all of the decks that I'm using. So we are asking about lunar messages. Okay, let's see. So for Group 2, lunar messages. Okay, so let's start. So this is first card, then I've used the wisdom of the oracle. Okay, then the Moonology deck. Okay, and then the 2 tarot decks. So I usually shuffle the cards before, but I just like to do it again for each of the groups separately, just to connect to the energy a bit better. Okay, so group 2, lunar messages. Okay, well, I will take that one. Okay, it jumped. Okay, well, if it already revealed itself, I will keep it this way. Because the way it fell out, it was like this. So I wasn't sure if it's upright or reversed, but it wants to be upright, so I will keep it this way. And it's a Queen of Wands, so I'm not surprised. She wants to be upright. Very energetic already. Okay, and one more card. And then if I need to clarify, I will just pull some extra cards from any of the decks. Okay, so group 2, lunar messages. Okay, I want this one. Okay, and just let me check it in the frame. Okay, I think that looks all right. Okay, so let's see. We have the Death card. Then we have Breathe. It's already interesting with the flowers. Then we have Full Moon in Taurus, Queen of Wands, and we have the 4 of Swords in the reverse. Okay, so the first thing that comes to my mind here is these 2 cards together. So we have the Death card and we have Breathe. So the first thing that comes to my mind is that perhaps you're going through some transformation. You're going through some sort of ending. So the Death card, I know it sounds it sounds a bit yeah, it sounds a bit difficult, but Death, it's all about transformation. It's about one thing ending so that it makes space for the new energy to come. And with the Breathe card, it's as if the moon is saying, look, you might not be aware of this, because the moon is all about our subconsciousness. You might not be aware of this, but things will be okay. Just because there is an ending, it doesn't mean that things are ending forever. It's just about a transformation, just like with the butterfly. It goes through different stages. And it has this natural wisdom, and that's also Taurus, what I feel like. It's really connected to the practical earth element. It has this inner knowing when to, well, be a caterpillar, when to form a cocoon, and then when to break out of it as a butterfly. So there is that divine timing aspect to this. It is about having the trust in the universe that this is not the end of all things. And looking at all these flowers, it makes me think that every plant also has this life cycle, and once the flower gets pollinated, the petals would fall down, and then you would think, oh no, the flower died, this is it. But then the next stage would be the fruit. So perhaps at the moment you are in a moment of transition where you're going from one stage to another, and the moon is saying, look, you just need to breathe, you have to relax, because everything is well. Just relax, let the universe do its thing, because you might not see it, but it's coming. It's something is coming. Or maybe you are in a stage of you're in a stage where you have to wait. You have to wait for things to build up, for things to develop, for things to mature. And it might feel like, oh, I'm just in a black hole and there's nothing happening and everything is so stagnant and something has died in my life and it's never coming back. But this is just a stage where things have to stay still. Because somewhere behind the scenes, things are being prepared. And you're not meant to access them, you're not meant to kind of connect to that energy, you're meant to just relax. And to me, this is the message here with the Four of Swords in reverse. You might feel like you are forced to relax, you are forced to stay in this situation. Because the Four of Swords, to me, it's a knight who has to perhaps relax after a battle in a cathedral, somebody who needs some peace and quiet. But because it's in reverse, I feel like it's not your decision, it's in a way forced upon you. But with this full moon in Taurus, it says your dreams need a practical plan. I would look at this card more like while you are having this time off, it is good to plan things out. Even if it doesn't really seem like it's going to come true, maybe it seems like a very far away goal, just write it down, even if it seems silly, and just keep it somewhere in your documents, wherever it is, and then in a couple of months time check it, and perhaps you will already be on the path to it. But it's just because of that Taurus energy. Taurus is an earth sign, it's an earth element, so it's all about the physical reality. And just as the plants have their own cycle, animals are also tuned into that natural cycle. So it's knowing when to rest, knowing when to go to sleep, knowing when to wake up. So it's being synchronized to the rhythm of life. And the moon itself has its own cycle. So moon would be a 28-day cycle. So we start with a new moon where you wouldn't even see the moon on the sky. And then it would slowly increase in light until we have a full moon. And then after 14 days, so from 0 to 14, the moon is increasing in light, then we have a full moon, and then as the moon loses its light, it's eventually going to be new moon again. So it's releasing things and then making space for new things and then accumulating that new energy, releasing it, and then starting something new, accumulating it, and so on and so on. So it's this message here that comes to me, that connecting to these natural cycles, connecting to the cycle of death and rebirth, and connecting to your body as well, because your body needs what's good. Your body intuitively recognizes when it's time to rest. But in the modern world, we might feel disconnected. We might feel like, oh no, I will just drink some more coffee and I will work through the night because I have to finish this. And then the body gets out of sync and then we can really feel it. So here, rather than this practical plan that this card is talking about, to me, it's reconnecting to your physical body and what it needs and letting it relax when it needs to relax, letting it sleep, taking some time off, or if it wants to exercise, going out for a walk, things like that. So really connecting to it. And then we have that Queen of Wands, and I would like to clarify what this is about, because I see it as perhaps this is a new version of you emerging from this from this inaction, from this inactivity. So what is this Queen of Wands? Can I just get an extra card? Queen of Wands. Ace of Wands. Okay, so it's, I'll do it this way. Okay, I think you can see it. So there is a passionate new beginning here with the Ace of Wands. But first, something has to be, it's like a seed. It starts with a seed. Imagine you just put a seed in between the pages. And for a while, it seems like nothing is happening. But then, once you really connect to yourself, you just relax, you let things unfold in their own natural way. This is when you will be able to start something new, and you will be very passionate about it, and you will be able to approach it with great energy and enthusiasm. Because maybe if you were to start something right now, it's not the right time. It's like sowing seeds in the middle of winter. Not all of the plants will be able to bloom. So letting things naturally, I don't say decline, but letting them just decrease, and then eventually things will start growing and increasing again. So connecting to that. And the Queen of Wands is a very charismatic person, very intuitive as well, with that black cat here, being connected to that intuition and having a vision for the future. So Queen of Wands knows that just because it's winter and things are dead, it doesn't mean it will be like that forever. She already is preparing for the new cycle. So there is that new beginning for you, definitely. It's just about resting at the moment. Anything else I can get for you? And other advice? Another advice for group 2 from the moon. Okay, here. The 8 of Cups. Okay, so with the 8 of Cups, and look, we have the moon here, and we have even more butterflies and dragonflies and all these animals. So the 8 of Cups is telling us that sometimes we need to move on in order to search for more. And in here, maybe there can be a feeling of being stuck, that it's always like this, nothing is happening and it will always be this way. But to me, in this context, the 8 of Cups, it's about finding the courage to move on and really start something new once the time is right, getting up and going on a journey to do whatever you want to do, whatever you wanted to do, whatever you were planning, going for it. But I feel like this is the next step. And this card, I feel like it showed up to let you know that there is a next step, that there is something beyond, that it's not just the Death card. So for now, it's about relaxing, it's about letting things, just releasing them and then making space for something new. And yes, I think this is the message for you, group 2. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you liked the video, feel free to like it, feel free to subscribe and share it with whoever you think would enjoy it as well. And yes, I will see you in the next video. Bye! Hello group 3, if you chose this crystal, Anandalite, this is your reading. So we are looking at lunar messages, messages from the moon, and the sort of messages that the moon wants to pass on to you. And you can watch this video anytime, it doesn't have to be new moon or full moon, whenever you feel called to watch it. If you're interested about the decks that I'm using, I have introduced them at the beginning of group 1, so feel free to just go back to the beginning of group 1 and look at the decks that I'm using. But yes, let's start. Let's look at the messages from the moon, the lunar messages for you. So what I've done for the other 2 groups, I've just pulled one card from each deck and then I clarified with one of the decks in case I need more information. Okay, so let's see. Lunar messages for group 3. Okay, group 3. Okay, there's this one. And then the Oracle deck. Okay, then the next. Okay, well, I'll take this one. I wanted to jump out. And then some tarot. Okay, let's see. This one and one more. Okay, so let me just quickly check if it's in frame. looks nice. Okay, so group 3, let's see, lunar messages for you. And we have the moon. That's very fitting. Brief. This card already showed up in the previous group and I really shuffled. So if you have felt drawn to this crystal, group 2, there might be some message for you as well. Then we have new moon in Aries. It's time to take action. 7 of Wands and the 5 of Pentacles in reverse. Okay, so let's see. I'm more drawn to this side first rather than this one. So I will start with here. So the first card that really jumped out to me is that 7 of Wands. And the new moon in Aries, it's time to take action. So here, the first message that is coming through is to really stand your ground and to be assertive. Perhaps you have something valuable. Maybe you have some piece of information, or maybe you're just, I don't know, maybe it's about workplace, whatever it is. It's as if people are trying to take over whatever you have, and you have to stand your ground and you really have to defend whatever it is that you have. And with the new moon in Aries, maybe you have been thinking about it. Maybe you thought, oh yeah, well, there is some competition, but maybe I shouldn't do it. Maybe I should just be gentle and let things happen. But these cards are saying no, just go for it. Go for it and really defend whatever you have. Because here we have the 5 of Pentacles in reverse. And see, it's as if these people are coming towards you. So in this context, I would see it as people who embody the 5 of Pentacles energy. So energy of there is not enough. I don't have enough and I'm always left out in the cold. I'm always the victim, that sort of energy. And they are moving towards you because maybe you have something good. And they're like, ooh, can you help me with that? Can you give me this? Or maybe they wouldn't even ask, they would just come and take it from you. So the moon is saying, look, you have to defend yourself. You really have to stand your ground and say to other people, this is my plot of land, this is my area. And if I want to, I will invite you in. But if I don't, no. It's about creating boundaries here, definitely. And now that I've said about the boundaries, it's interesting that on the moon card, can you see it? The lady here is sitting at some wall, whatever it is, and then behind her it's all these tentacles. So it's as if, see, and it's the same kind of placement, it's the back, so you're facing something else, you're looking at the moon, and there's somebody trying to just sneak into your area. So to me it does sound like maybe not necessarily a warning, but just a heads up that there could be people around you or energies that would try to somehow take what you have. And because it's the moon is all about secrets. It's all about the subconsciousness, things that are hidden, and about the fears. Or maybe this is your fear that people will try to take over whatever you have. And in this case, it's all about being assertive. And really connecting to this Aries energy. So Aries, it's actually ruled by Mars. And Mars, as we know, is the god of war. And Mars doesn't really care about if he will offend somebody, if he will make someone sad or upset. Mars is like, okay, I want something, I go and I get it. Or if I'm protecting something that's important to me, I'm just going to protect it. I'm not going to just watch people take what's mine. So it's a very, very intense energy. Let's see, that's what's up with the brief card. Because it's interesting that these are very fiery energies, assertive energies, and then we have that card. What is this card about? Let's see. King of Wands. Yes. So while you are defending your ground, while you are being assertive, it's about staying connected to yourself and not being hot-headed. So I feel like with Aries sometimes they can be carried away. It's that fire that just happens. It's like an explosion and it takes them too far. But here with the brief card, it's about, okay, taking a breath in, breath out, and then going after what you want. And see, there's even more fire here. It's about banging the drum and saying, look, I'm warning you. This is a warning sign. You can hear the drum, and when you hear it, you have to back off, or else I will come for you. That's how it feels. It's very interesting energy. The moon is like, yeah, go for it, defend it, you're a warrior, you can't just let other people take what's yours. And what's about that moon card? Let's see what is up with the moon card. The Three of Swords. Okay, now it makes sense. So perhaps there was a situation where you were wounded by taking a stance, where when you had your opinion, when you shared it, and somebody would either criticize you or they wouldn't listen to it anyway, and they would just do whatever they wanted. And perhaps asserting yourself, it's a fear, because we have the moon card, something in our subconsciousness. Maybe you feel that if you will assert yourself, you will hurt other people. So instead, you're just like, no, I will just do nothing. I will just be passive, and people can hurt me, but I don't want to hurt anyone else. So here the moon is saying you have to defend yourself. You don't have to go all the way. You don't have to be ruthless, but you really have to stand your ground. Because people who, I don't want to say bad people, but people who have no empathy, or people who always feel victimized, or people who are just looking how to take advantage of others. It's your own energy. It's about protecting it, and you shouldn't feel bad about it. It's like if you're a king and you have your kingdom and somebody is attacking you and taking over, will you just say, oh yeah, please, there you go, here's my crown, here's the throne, there you go, you're the new king? No, you have to defend your kingdom, you have to defend your people. And to me, another energy that comes through is the energy of self-respect and self-worth and self-value. Do you have that? And if you do, if you value yourself, why would you let other people take things that belong to you? So perhaps it is about working through your fears and really connecting to the sense of self-worth. Because then once you feel like, okay, this is valuable, I am valuable, my time is valuable, my resources are important to me, then you feel like, no, I don't want to give them away for free. I just have to defend myself. I have to create some boundaries, because if I don't, people will just come in to my kingdom and take away whatever they want, and it shouldn't be like that. So definitely, time to take action, time to really assert yourself, stand your ground, say to others, no, I will not do it, or no, you cannot do that. I feel drawn to take one of the oracle cards. Okay, let's see. Anything else for group 3? Okay, here. And we have a message in a bottle. Okay, so here we have a bird sitting on top of some bottle, and there's a message in it. Well, it's actually a phone. So perhaps soon you will receive a message that maybe it will really anger you. You'll feel like, what? How can this person feel so entitled to my time and to my resources? Who do they think they are? And this is what will direct you into that Seven of Wands energy, really creating boundaries and I've said that so many times, but asserting yourself, basically. Because sometimes we do have these people who think they are entitled to our time, or they are just so rude in a way that they say, oh yeah, give me this, oh yeah, give me that, give me money, give me your time, do this to me, do this for me, and all that. And you're like, excuse me, like there's a word please, or thank you, or could you please do that? But I feel like this message could really launch all of these energies. It could really awaken them and then teach you how to stand your ground. Okay, I think this is it for group 3. But yeah, in this whole process, just remember to stay calm. So within you're calm, but you can have very strong boundaries. So I feel like this is the main message here from the moon. Okay, so I feel like this is it. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, you can like this video, share it with other people, subscribe so that you are up to date with our videos. And yes, I'll see you next time. Bye! Yes, group 4, rather cross-eyed, we are looking at lunar messages from the moon. And yes, we will see whatever shows up. And while I was shuffling the cards, the 8 of Cups fell out, so I will keep it on the side. And then I will just draw one card from each deck. If you're interested about what decks I'm using, feel free to just jump to the beginning of group 1 where I introduced each of the decks that I'm using. And yes, let's start with the messages. I'm really curious what will show up for you, especially that this 8 of Cups already showed up. And we already have the moon here, so that's already our first message. So let's see. Messages for group 4, lunar messages. Group 4, lunar messages. Okay, 2 more cards. And one more, because this one fell out while I was shuffling, so let's keep it there, but I want one more from that deck. Okay, and let me check how it looks like on the screen. Okay, more or less, I think it should be fine. Sorry if you're a perfectionist and you need everything lined up. Okay, let's see. Group 4, we have the Page of Cups. We have Chaos and Conflict. We have Cardinal Moon, be bold and make the first move. We have the Death card. And then the Emperor in reverse. And then the 8 of Cups that fell out. Okay, so let's see. The first thing that comes to me is these 2 cards being connected with the Chaos and Conflict and the Death card upright. So there can be some changes taking place, some sort of transformation that brings you chaos and conflict. Maybe there are things that just don't line up, things that confuse you, things that just seem like somebody mixed them up, and now you have to make sense of it. What do I get from this? I want to clarify because it's such a... I feel like it's 2 different messages here. It's something more. So what are these 2 about? 10 of Cups, and we have the Page of Cups. Okay, I think I'm seeing where it's going. So I will do it this way. And then the 10, and then this. So we have Cups here. Okay, to me it looks like some sort of connection or relationship, that sort of issue, because we have the 10 of Cups, which would talk about family. It would talk about relationships, couples, things like that. And Cups are all about our emotions. And considering we have the Death and the Chaos and Conflict, perhaps there is a transformation in a relationship in your life. It looks like something is ending and it might feel very chaotic. Maybe there was some offer to move somewhere else or to change jobs, or moving on, because we have the 8 of Cups, and it brought a lot of chaos and a lot of conflict, and we no longer know where to stand. And it's so interesting now that I look at the 10 of Cups. It's because I think it's, so the top you would have human top, but then I think it's what is it? It's almost like some seaweeds here, and then a fish tail. So it's a half that's one energy, and the other half is a different energy. So imagine placing these people, these creatures on land. They couldn't even survive. So it's something is transforming, and maybe you don't have the tools to deal with it, or maybe there is something that you need to figure out how to do it. And now this Eight of Cups makes sense, because maybe somebody decided, look, there's more. I know that there is more for our family, for us, so maybe let's move somewhere else. Let's find another job. Let's maybe communicate in a different way. But I feel like one of you is not ready for it. And that's why we have the Death card. It's as if, no, I don't want to hear about it. It would mean the end of either our relationship or the end of this specific phase. And this is why it's so difficult to deal with it. It's like something doesn't make sense. And here with this Emperor in reverse, I wonder if it's about boundaries, and it's about who has control, who is in charge of things, who makes the important decision in that relationship, and whether that person is willing to compromise, or it's willing to hear other options and adapt, or if it's more like, I say it, so we have to do it my way. And this is where the conflict comes in, because maybe they are very inflexible. They are very fixed on one idea. And it's interesting, we have Aries and then cardinal moon. Aries is a cardinal sign, so it's as if I want to do something, then I'll just go for it. And I don't know if it's you, or if it's the other person, or if it's a completely different situation, but it's as if one person has made a decision to go somewhere else, and because they made that decision, something is ending. And because something is ending, it's bringing chaos and conflict. So it's quite a complex energy, I have to say. So, but then we have Page of Cups and then Cardinal Moon. Be bold and make the first move. Let's clarify that, just so I know what's happening here. So these two cards, because I feel like they go together. And it's interesting, we have a fish, and it's the same kind of energy. And the Ten of Cups. So here, what are these cards about? Four of Pentacles. Okay, that makes sense. So I see it as two energies. One person wants to be bold. They want to move on. They want to initiate something. But then the other one wants to stay. Everyone's like trying to push and pull. One person is pushing this way and the other one is pushing that way, and that's where the conflict is created. So somebody wants to move on, somebody wants to discover some new territory, some new grounds, but then the other person is shown by the Four of Pentacles, holding on to things. Maybe, I don't know, I keep getting the idea of moving somewhere and having a nice house, and it's like, no, we have to sell it and we have to move on somewhere else. And the other person is, no, I really like our house and I feel secure and safe here. I don't want to leave it. I just want to stay where we are. And this is where that chaos is coming in. And maybe one person is very stuck on their idea. They say, no, I don't want to hear a different perspective. I just want to do what I want to do. So yeah, it's quite, I can almost see a fork in the road. And then this Page of Cups. I wonder if it has to do with being emotionally immature when we have some idea in our mind and we think, oh yeah, it is so perfect, I will just go for it. It's great. It's like having a fish in your teacup. Oh, it's so lovely, let's just see where it leads me. But are you going to jump in the teacup? Will you fit? It's these very, I don't say childish ideas, but things that they seem great in our imagination, but in reality they just don't work at all. So there can be something here in this situation that is built on very immature energy, thinking, oh, I want to do this, and you have to adapt because I say so. So it's this combination of Page of Cups and the Emperor in reverse. Somebody who may appear very tough on the outside, but it's because within themselves they are still quite immature, so they try to make up for it by being extra tough and extra serious. And you either do what I say or this is it. Okay, so what is the advice here? Let's see. Okay, I feel this deck. And it's also interesting, we have the number 4 twice. So the Emperor is number 4, and then we have the 4 of Pentacles. So we have 4, 4, and then we have 3, 3 here. So it's as if one person wants to expand, because 3 is the number of expansion, but then 4 is the number of stability. So there can be that conflict. So advice for group 4. Okay, let's take top one. See, between worlds, another number 3. So it's deciding where do you want to go? Do you want to stay here or do you want to move on? Which one feels more, I don't say comfortable to you, but whichever side resonates. Maybe you're scared, so that's why you're holding on to whatever you have. Or maybe you just feel bored, and this is why we have this 8 of Cups, moving on and leaving whatever we have. So here the advice is thinking about the future, thinking about what is next. And maybe sometimes we do have to go through that chaos and conflict. So then we can, from that 3, we can move on to 4, to more stability. But then expansion, when we don't have stability, when we do it just because it's our childish wish, it's doing it on a whim, that's also not clever, that's also not responsible either. So it's almost like finding a middle ground between these two. So we either have this really almost black and white or very, very saturated colors. This might be too bleak, but this might be too intense. So it's about finding the middle ground, finding the balance. I want to grab one more for advice. Anything else for group 4? Okay, here. The King of Cups. So being emotionally mature, moving away from a Page of Cups to a King of Cups. Instead of thinking, oh, I want to swim with the fish, it's about, okay, I actually have to build a ship and learning how to do it, and being disciplined and not letting the emotions sway you, and being solid like these rocks here. So growing up emotionally, and if you want to move somewhere else, making sure that you have the ship, you have all of the resources to do so, because otherwise you will get on the journey, and then after a couple of steps you will realize, oh, I forgot that, no, I forgot that, that was not really well thought out, what am I doing? So just being more emotionally mature, connecting to your emotions. And sometimes being emotionally mature means adapting to other people, but sometimes it means standing your ground. So I feel like you will know in your situation which option to choose. But because it has to do with 10 of Cups, it does talk about a family or a relationship or anything that brings you emotional fulfillment. But I see 2 energies, and each of them is pulling in their own way, and this is where the conflict is created. It makes me think of the square aspect in astrology, when you have 2 energies and they create tension, and then this tension forces you to act in some way. So I feel like this is the situation here. Anything else? No, I feel like this is it. Just finding a middle ground, finding emotional maturity, and deciding what's good for the both of you, not just for the one of you. Okay, I think this is it for group 4. If you like this reading, feel free to like the video, subscribe, share this video with whoever you would think would enjoy it. And yes, I will see you in the next video. Bye!